production of filmmaking art integrated learning module within the framework of the project Boosting Positive Narrative on Romani Integration Through Arts, also known as BRoll. The lesson's objectives are to provide basic knowledge on production of short videos, to learn basic shooting terminology, to learn basic shooting rules, and duration is 8 hours. For a lot of us, it should be the central lesson of the whole module, because we finally get to the production. So basically, we are going to shoot our video. In lesson 2, we learned and produced a lot of preparation, a lot of documents that are going to be used during the shooting. So basically, the production is consisted of preparation of the set or sets if you have several ones, image shooting or picture shooting, sound shooting, and we would like to add some rules, tips, and a bit of theory so that you can understand what the shooting is about. So preparation of the set is the first thing that you have to do. If you recall all the story around timetable, you would remember that you are supposed to come to your set well in advance. And that means that the key personnel will be there at least 1 hour before the shooting starts. You have your shooting plan and prepare the set according to it. So basically, in a shooting plan, that document that is probably 20 pages long, you have description of each set and what is needed of those sets. So somebody is going to arrange the set as a background for your video that is according to your shooting plan. Also, secure that all needed people are at the right place at the right time and they are doing their jobs. For that, you have your timetable and you have a list of things that you need on the set. So basically, the director, the sound and camera persons will come before the shooting starts. They will set up camera, they will set up sound system, and then when protagonists come in, the director is starting to organize everything so that shooting can start. One more time, check your list that you have everything that you need on the set. And the 3 most important parts that you can't forget are batteries for the sound system if it's separate from the camera, the charge batteries for the camera or your smartphone, as well as energy packs so that you can recharge them, your data storage, and the laptop where you can start to download your material while the shooting is in progress. You don't have to wait until the shooting is over, because that downloading can take some time. Here we come to the shooting of image or pictures. So basically, there are principles that are really important to keep in mind. Recording conditions are never ideal. Always something is a bit off. So basically, it can be light, it can be sound, it can be people that you can't get rid of, or people that are missing. So basically, you have to solve all those problems very quickly, thinking on your feet, and produce outcome that would be beneficial for your shooting. Camera is less adaptable. I mean, our eyes are really a kind of miracle and we can adjust our focus very easily and automatically, and we are not aware of it. Camera can't do that, even if it's in the automatic mode. So basically, camera sees different than your eyes. And it takes a lot of practice to get to know how the camera is going to see something. Uh, so, if you are, you know that if you are filming your children playing, your dog playing, or your grandmother making cookies, you always get the result that is different than you expected, especially in the beginning when you are still quite novice to the art of shooting. So basically, as it cannot be learned in one day, practice is really important. Shoot around. The more you shoot, the more you will learn, and the more capable you will become. So, when you decide to start a shooting, there are three things that you have to do before you push the record button. First one is select recording quality. Recording quality is actually resolution. It tells you how your video is grainy, how your picture is clear. Bigger the resolution, bigger the video, clearer the picture. But of course, there is always but. As you go on the ladder steps of resolution from the lower to the highest, it gets more and more costly. Why it gets more and more costly? Because you need more and more and more data storage. And data storage is not a cheap thing. So basically, and you have to do backups of everything. So basically, it is when you get to the highest resolution, it's really, really costly. The usual resolution that's okay for the small screens like laptops or smartphones or small TV screens is HD. That means high definition, 1080p's, and that's what you use when you are filming your grandma making cookies. Most videos that you seen or see on YouTube or TikTok are HD. The high resolution is 2K. 2K still doesn't ask for huge data storage, so it's not a bad idea to do the shooting in 2K. And why it is good? Because if you have something in your video that you don't like, that you would get rid of, you can go into the picture, crop it, and get rid of the things that you don't want to be seen in your picture. And that resolution, even if the video is augmented, it's still okay for H2 definition. So basically, if you are going for HD, you would film in 2K in order to cover your mistakes in post-production with adequate quality of the picture. The next resolution is 4K. That's already professional film or TV resolution. And the standard for Netflix and other big networks today is 6K. There is also 8K, but forget about it. 6K is also very good if you plan to show your videos on huge public screens. So at the huge public screens, you then have a nice and clear picture and it's not grainy and fuzzy. But 6K ask for a huge amount of data storage, so it's really, really expensive, and probably you wouldn't shoot your video in 6K. Second thing that you have to do is select exposure or decide on blend opening. It is usually automatic, but you can tinker with it, and the main rule is more light, smaller opening, less light, bigger blend opening. And the last thing that you have to do before you start shooting is to determine the white balance all the cameras, and some smartphones have a button with WB on it. And how do you do it? You take a piece of white paper or clean shirt, clean white shirt of camera crew. Put camera on a white surface and push WB button. Another thing which is also of the utmost importance for decent shooting is that you have a stable camera, that you fixate the camera and hold the frame. You don't want to shoot from the hand because it can be quite shaky and not a good practice, definitely. You can fixate camera, and that's strongly recommended, on a static with movable head or tripod. You have a picture of it here, and then you put your mobile or your camera on a static, and your camera is secure, fixed, and ready for shooting. You can move your tripod around the set, and that's it. If you don't have a tripod, then always hold your camera in both hands. Never do it in one hand. Not only because they are sometimes heavy, but because you can't really make it stable if you are holding it just one hand. The other thing is that you have, if you can't fixate, if you don't have a tripod, you have to fixate yourself. So besides holding camera with two hands, put your elbows on some surface which is stable. It can be roof of the car, it can be table, it can be a chair, it can be stack of books, whatever. Just that you have a hard surface where you can put your two elbows and hold the camera in two hands. If you can't do that, or your position of the camera asks for a higher placement than while sitting, you can lean on something. It can be wall, doors, cars, trees, whatever you find. And to make it even better, flex one knee to be more stable, and then put your elbows close to your body and hold the camera with two hands. So just to remember some good ideas when you start to shoot. Use manual settings. Uh, a lot of cameras and smartphones, especially, has automatic settings. But if you want to get out of the usual frames, use manual settings. It's better. Then always determine the white balance before filming. Use a static or fixate a camera. And here comes the things that we didn't talk about it yet, but we are going to talk about now. So there are so-called B-rolls. We talked about it in pre-production when we asked ourselves whether the additional shooting explain the context of your narrative. So that's a shoot that put the story in the context. They can be without protagonists, sometimes with a protagonist or with somebody else, and they usually show the exteriors and interiors, like streets, lakes, schools, houses, living rooms, whatever. Always make a frame for at least 15 seconds. Why it is important? It's important for the post-production. It's always it's always better to have more materials than less. And because when you come to the post-production, if something is missing, usually you can't go and shoot it additionally. So basically, do quite some B-roll cadres or frames, that lasts for at least 15 seconds so that you have the material in post-production. Don't zoom in or out. I mean, it's really irritating. And the human eyes don't work like zoom in and zoom out like the cameras do. If you are zooming in or zooming out, it has to be really planned and do it slowly and don't overdo it. So in a 3 minutes video, probably you should have 2 or 3 zoom in and zoom outs. Even that is too much. So I know it's really fun to do it, and we all want to experiment and try new different things. But zooming in and out is not a good idea when it's come to the viewers of your video. And if you are zooming in and zooming out, then also beside that, do a proper shot without zooming in and zooming out so that you will have the materials. And zoom in and zoom out, just keep for your happily playing around. And it's also very important lightening of each scene. So basically, or set. So basically, you should plan it beforehand and be aware that some things would not be able because of the light. If you want to shoot your protagonist walking around in a sunny streets, be aware that you can shoot towards the sun, because you will not see your protagonist, you will see only hers or his silhouette. If you want to do it, then it's okay, but usually you don't want to do it. And now a bit of filmmaking theory. So we are going to talk about the shooting plans. Shooting plans or frames have different names in different systems, and here are the one that are the most usual one. So the first plan is detail or extreme close-up. It's the small part of the whole. It's part of the face, it's eye, it's part of the small animal body. It's 2 or 3 leaves on a plant. So basically, that's very, very intimate plan, and it's focused on one small object. Uh, that's a good plan because it asks for less lightning and less set dressing, because you don't really see a background. The whole set is not really important in that plan. Big plan, gross plan, or medium close-up is the whole face of a person or objects of the appropriate size. That's still very intimate one. So basically, you have the face dominating your frame, and it's also still very, very intimate. And also, you don't have to take care of background and set a lot. Close plan, the bust of a man or woman or person, is a plan that is the first plan that you go for when you have an interview. So basically, that's something that is quite usual. And then if something is really dramatic, you go to the medium close up, and then you come back to the close plan. It does middle plane. Middle plan is frame that covers human figure either from waist up or from the knee up. Then it's called so-called American plan, and that's a plan that is still used for the interviews, but basically it is the first plan that is used for action. So when something is happening, you can do some of the shooting in a middle plan. Half, long, or full shot. The frame is bigger than a person, but only part of the entire visible is of the entire environment is visible. So it can be the part of the street, the part of the house, part of the room, but there is some action and people are in it and action is going on. It is not an interview plan. Very rarely you will talk with the people while they walk. Usually you would like to have them stand somewhere and then shut up and continue walking and then again stand and walk and that's it. So half plan is also very good for showing atmosphere. It can show context of the story. Total or establishing hot or far long shot is the frame which includes the whole ambience. And it's very important for the building the context around your narrative, for showing the atmosphere, for providing some context and emotions to your video. Usually those are shots of the playgrounds, lakes, houses, mountains, streets in a really wide exposure. You have your materials from picture shooting. You have uploaded them either on the cloud as a data storage or on your hard disks. You are preparing to backup it and you are happy with your picture shooting. At the same time, you were shooting a sound. It can be either integrated, usually if you do the shooting with your smartphones, or sometimes you can plug in a microphone to your camera and do the integrated shooting of picture and sound. But if you want to be a bit more professional, you will do your sound shooting separately. And why it is important? Because sound is really of great importance for the video. We are not quite aware of it consciously, but if the sound is bad, the watching the video is almost unbearable. And there are some theoretical notions that actually the experience of the film or of the video is 60% sound and 40% image. If the sound is off, you can have the best picture ever done, but nobody would actually enjoy watching your video because sound is more irritating for us than its a bad picture. So, there are a few things that are really important. So the first thing is that you have a silent premises for interviews. So if you're doing interview, try to reduce all background sound. So basically close the windows if there is a heavy traffic around. Try to remove all other persons, and if there are persons in the premises, don't allow them to speak, to move, to produce any kind of sound. Also, if you are doing that outside, try to do it with the sound person who knows how to filter the surrounding sounds. That means that you should control the sound environment, and sometimes you can't be prepared for that. You can't do that, so be prepared for controlling the sound. If you are, for instance, if you are filming outside close to the railways, then before you start to shoot, always check whether there is some train coming in or coming out or passing by, or check whether there are cars, whether there are dogs, or if you have sounds that you didn't expect it, you always can do the shooting again. Do not be cheapy when it comes to microphones. I mean, they are getting cheaper and cheaper, but they can still be costly. But a very good microphone is really important. If you are doing the interviews, don't use that general microphone. Use the bug microphone because it's getting the sound better. And once more, bad sound can really ruin the good video. And here are some rules and tips that can help you while shooting. So when you are positioning your protagonist in your frame, uh, think about the proportions. There's proportion which is really golden, and it's called golden cut, and the ancient Greeks were quite aware of it. And it goes like a smaller part is in relation to the bigger part, as bigger part is in relation to the total. So basically that means that you put your protagonist bit off the center of of the shot of the frame, so that it looks more interesting. Another thing that is really important is that light source is important. So basically, have a good lighting. If you don't have ideal lighting, which is usually the case, you can always get closer to your object, because the closer you get, the less lighting you need. If you are filming children or animals or something near the floor, get to their level. So descend, crouch or sit if you deal with children, animals, or plants, because the shots will be better. Talking about backgrounds, use inconspicuous backgrounds. So basically, don't put a lot of things in the background that will draw attention from your protagonists or from the action you are filming. But on the other side, background shouldn't be a white wall with nothing on it, usually. So basically, think about background and think how the background relates to your narrative. Also, one more time, be careful with zoom. The bigger the zoom, more your background will become more and more blurry, because the focus will be on the object you are shooting. So if you are getting really close and you want to the details from the background would be seen, be aware that it's not possible. So if you want to have a background that is clearly seen, that people can recognize it, that they see some details which are probably important for the context, then don't get too close. Use interesting angles, but don't overdo it, you know. Because if you overdo it, it becomes irritating, and people get fed up with interesting angles, and they can't see your protagonist properly. When speaking about giving interview, usually the protagonist don't look directly in the camera. You look directly in the camera when you are pronouncing a kind of slogans, you know. Fight against abuse, the protagonist would look in the camera. But during the interview, they would usually look at the person standing close to camera, practically close to the camera, and answering to that person, because that's how better